Hey, this is Ransomed Relics, Carolyn Muncie, and I'm back for part 2. So we've got our mirror dry now. What was happening before was the paint wasn't dry and I was getting real muddy. So I didn't want that. So we took a lunch break. Me and my daughter, we went out to lunch. I've got my black glaze mixed up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this black glaze and we're just going to work it in. And the great thing that I like personally myself working with glaze versus wax, and I've done them both, and then you just rub it out. You can kind of see, you can take as little and add a little more. You work it in there. Let me get some more on my paintbrush. I like these little brushes to work in the detail. See, I'm just getting it into that detail. Now, you might think to yourself, well, I don't want it. I want it a little crisper looking. Here's what I've got. I've got a water bottle. I'm doing it with the glazing. You can take out a little more. Now, this is just layer 1 of many. And just take it all around. And the one that I did before, I did a champagne gold onto the finish. So what I'll do is I'll try to just kind of get this area, because I know you guys spent time with me earlier, and you just want to work that black. You just want to work that black in. Let it do what it's going to do. You can do this with any color. If you want to work with blues, if you want to work with grays. Actually, this is kind of mingling out to be more of a gray, really, when you're here and seeing it. It's not that stark black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work that out. Just like this. And you just keep working around it. The neat thing about this kind of thing is that each part, you want it to look semi the same in some ways, but then you also want it to look different too. You know, you want it to look like it's flowing, that it's not just one. You know, I think the hardest thing is probably for someone who's very exact, is you think, oh no, that's got to look exactly like this other part. No, it doesn't. That's what the beauty of this type of a thing is, that it doesn't look the same. And I'm going to go back on my final thing. Once this all dries, I will go back and I will lighten areas. Hopefully we have a time to show that. But I will lighten areas and make them, you can kind of see how this is working, but I'll go back and I'll bring that cream more out again, you know, into my finished product. But this is just, like I said, one step of many. And I kind of want that black to stay in that little thing like that. I think that looks nice. And you've got these, you know, and you can kind of see how it's variegated shades of grays and blacks and creams and whites, and I just think it gives it a really pretty patina. Just work your way around. I like when that black stays in there. And of course, that's all about how much you have on your brush. And the thing about it is I always try to tell everyone that I'm teaching, is that you've got to get to the point where you realize this is paint. and it's not a science in one sense of the word, and you can change it. It's not that if I get this whole thing done and I go, oh, I hate it, that I can't go back and change it. And that's the beauty. There's a lot of times, and I'm sure most decorative painters would say that there's times where they thought, oh, I love this, and they go to lunch, they come back and they go, oh, I don't like this. So then you start working again and you start layering. Sometimes you have to go back to the first and you just paint it all again and you go again. It's not like it's a rocket science. Like I said, it's paint. You don't like it? Then change it. Of course, we have my dog barking, of course, and then I'm just going to take a little bit of water. I'm going to go back over this, clean up these lines just a little bit, where I got a little more. And I don't worry too much about the mirror, because once I get done with all this, I'm going to be cleaning that mirror extensively anyway. So I'm not going to worry about that mirror at this point. And then when you get done, you go back, you look at it and you go, oh, I'd like to have a little more detail here, or I'd like to have a little more detail there, not as much there. Just go back and correct it. It's very correctable. And it'll just work with you. As you can see, I've kind of got a little bit over here done, but there again, the top part of this I don't like. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back in just a little while. I'm going to let this all dry. Then I'll make it more match down here. Up close I can see the difference. But I like the look of the black in there a lot. And you can see how you see the cream there, the crispness and the cream there. Some people would like it just like that. I think that this patinoing and doing the glaze is just adding that beautifulness to, and it really, when
Patricia Shaw says, hi from stormy Ireland.
Hey, from Ireland. Awesome. I had someone from Sweden on earlier, and I was hoping Charlene Wolf was going to get on here, but she must have gotten busy in her day.
Christy Levy asks, do you use a colored glaze?
I do, Christy. I use a glazing compound. I did say it in the first one, and what this is it's a glaze, and I mix black paint into it. You stir it up, and it gives you a real good fluidness to it. And the other thing too, the reason why I go back and I spray it is because what I like about this is it's water-based. So if I get too much on, it's not a big deal. I can go back with the water and take a little bit of it off. And as you can see, it just is kind of mixing. Okay, so you can just see, and you think, oh wow, I don't think I like the black. Well, it's not going to be real black when I get done. But I like the black in the crevices. And some people might just like the black just like that. I do kind of like that, but I'm not going to leave it that way. And you know, the strange thing to me about doing this kind of stuff is you get into a mode when you're doing the artistic type stuff like this. You get into a mode and you get into a flow. And if you have to stop that and you come back and you think, oh, well, I remember how I'm doing it, it's really strange, because you'll come back and it won't be exactly the same, even though you're kind of doing the same things. I don't know, it's just kind of strange to me. But it's just kind of like you get into a flow of things. And if I wanted to, you can kind of see that gold coming through a little bit there. You can rub harder, get more gold to come through, but I'm not worried about that because I'm going to come back with the champagne gold color, which to me I feel is a little softer, and it's going to lend, I think, a little more to what I want to do in here. And it's going to give it that softness that goes around.
Christy asks, do you add matte paint to the glaze?
It doesn't matter what paint you add to the glaze. I actually just use craft color a lot of times, 69, 79 cents, you know, or whatever I have on hand. Like I said in my first video, I am using Little Black Dress from Designer in You, and I'm also using Grandma's Pearls in Designer in You paint. And if you've never checked out that paint, check it out. It's really a lovely, gives a lovely finish, and it's really, really one of my favorites. Let's put it that way. And I'm just working.
Patricia Shaw asks, have you made your own glaze or are you using a particular product?
This time I am using a product, and it's by Dutch Boy, and it is a glaze, but you can make your own. I've even made glaze, the other mirror that I did, if any of you saw it on my site, I actually used polyurethane in the color, and I got a really, really nice glazing effect through that. You can also, there's so many that you can do. You can also make a homemade glaze with floatanol and your paint, and you can add, the floatanol gives your paint time to kind of flow, you know, and it gives it elongates your drying time. That's the thing that you work with when you're doing this, is your drying time normally is very short. But I always, whenever I'm working with something, whether I'm painting by hand, painting an image, painting a picture, whatever I'm doing, when I get to the point where I feel like, oh, you know, I really like this, or if I get stymied and I'm going, oh man, I don't know, this just isn't looking the way that I want it or what I envisioned it to look like, the best thing to do is to walk away. You walk away, go to the bathroom, get you something to drink, whatever you need to do to change your attention. And that by changing your focus, and you look away, you walk around, you clean something up, you do something, and then when you come back and you look at it, all of a sudden then you're starting to see with new eyes. And these new eyes, as you come back in and you look, you go, oh man, I need this, or I need that, or I need to change that, or you go, I like it. I really, really like it, you know. And you decide how much you want. See, now I like that better right there. And I know to you all, it's probably looking really, really dark. And it does get darker before it gets lighter. So don't be afraid of it. And don't be afraid that you've made a mistake. It doesn't matter. This honestly is very forgiving. And you might decide, I know, I can't even tell you the times I've started out with a piece and I had what I wanted to do with it, and it totally changed on me. I mean, like, to the point where it was like I'm adding different colors and I'm doing things and I'm going, oh wow, this is kind of cool. And so it just, the piece will speak to you. And I know that some of you that have done this for a while know exactly what I'm talking about. Or maybe you've never done it and you want to try and you go, oh man, that looks pretty easy. You know, you just mess with it and you work with it and you grow in what you're doing. And I always try to make sure I'm getting my sides. I try to make sure that there's nothing that's grabbing me that goes, oh man, you know. But as you can see, it doesn't take a whole long time to get to the point where I'm at. But I will say this, you have to have your layers dry, because if you don't, it's just like what happened to me earlier, is they just get muddy and you don't have a distinction like you want. They just get real muddy. I'm wiping that down. I see a little more gold coming through there, which is okay with me. And then, since I don't want to keep you guys for very long, because let me do this one curve though. I really like it in those little recesses, because I know whenever I get done that black, just want to stay in those little recesses, because I'll come back and I'll hit all of this with my cream paint again, so that we get, you know, a lighter area. You can see the tones of the grays and the golds, and you think, where's the cream? You started out, it was so light and creamy. It will be again. I promise. It's not going to be cream like it was, because it's going to add depth and dimension and movement to it. And just see, don't I have a good helper? She is just really honing in on this so you can see. This is my sweet daughter. My other daughter's working. So my Mariah's helping me today. You can just see. Can you see the beauty coming out? Okay. All right. So I kind of got that established a little bit. Now, I've got this paint, and I'm going to add this paint here. Thank you, Mariah. You're doing a good job, honey. Put a little bit, I've got this warm champagne color. Can you see that? Just kind of a warm champagne gold. And you know what? It is from Hobby Lobby. It's not an expensive paint. And I love expensive paint. But you know, sometimes we do what we need to do. And all this is doing is just to add in a little warmer patina here. And I'm going to let that kind of dry on there. This warmth. And I don't know if you guys can grab that on the camera, if you're really seeing the patina of this. Just adds a real depth and a real warmth to the black. I want to make sure I get my sides. It's kind of almost adding a little bit of a taupey color, and I like the warmth of this more than the gold, even though I love gold, don't get me wrong. I like this patina a lot. Kind of gives it that pewter type look. Are you guys like this? No? Yes? crevices.
Patricia says it looks beautiful. Christy says, wow, it's already so beautiful.
Thank you. And we are not done. You can kind of see how it's just going to enrich, and it's kind of, can you see how it's warming down that black? Just is warming it.
Christy Boyle says, love it.
Yay.
Maria says, like.
Yay, Maria. Yay, Christy Boyles. Because I got Christy Levy and Christy Boyles. This morning it was all Tracy's. I had all Tracy's on. Isn't that funny? Gives it that silvery, warm gold. I guess that's funny to say silvery, warm gold, huh? But you work with your piece. You get it to where you want it to be. Now, as this dries, I might even go in with some more black. You know, but I did want to show you the effect of what the cream. And you say, well, why are you painting it? Why did you paint it cream first? Well, because it gives it a basis. It gives it a place for your lights and your darks to come in. It really gives it a place, a value. And so you can kind of see it's kind of pretty, I think. Let me go ahead and get this. And you play with it. Don't ever be afraid just to spend some time with whatever your piece is and play with it a little bit. You know, some fun things happen through accidents. I always call them happy mistakes, as Bob Ross, I think, called them. They're happy mistakes because you didn't plan it that way, but it just kind of seemed like it worked out that way. And with these type of scrolly type pieces, you almost have to go over and look quite a few times. I'm going to rub some of that, disperse it a little bit, give it kind of that. Because I kind of want this to have that warm metallic cream look. Okay, so alrighty. Okay, so now I'm going to take my cream. You can kind of see I'm wiping a lot of this off. I'm going to go in, I want to add highlights. And there might be something throughout your whole picture, your whole piece, that you just might want to highlight. You know? And I like to dry brush a lot of things. And dry brushing is just a technique where you put paint on your brush and you get that off to where you can kind of see it's bringing back a little bit of that lightness. What do you guys think? And this is kind of 101. It's not hard. And I kind of like those little thingy doodies. Do those cream. And I might have to do this particular thing a couple times, because what happens is you think, oh, I've got it, and then it dries and it's not quite as bright as you want it. So you go back and do another, you know, another little hit on it. Which is what I'll have to do with this paint. I can tell you that. You can kind of see. I'm just going to add some gobs there. A like those things stand out a little bit more. And so I will probably go back and do those a couple times, maybe even, because I want them to stand out a little more. To me, this is relaxing and fun. To me, I look at it and it's an expression, I guess, maybe, because you feel like you can change something, you know, that you can take something that people have discarded and haven't counted the value of it, and you give this little guy a second chance. And this is very champagne gold looking, but it's got the depth. You can still see parts of the black in there, but it just brings it to life a little bit. See, and then as I keep going back over, I'll get more depth, more dimension. And that's what you want with a piece like this. You want some depth and dimension. And it was pretty, just all cream. I mean, that's just very clean, pretty. But to me, this adds an elegance to the piece. And it doesn't look like that old gold anymore. Well, I'm going to keep painting and keep working, and I'll post pictures of this hopefully later on if life doesn't happen and I have to quit. But I enjoyed those who came and watched it. I hope you learned something, and if I could leave anything with you, I would have to say that when you're working with a piece, allow your creativity to blossom, because someone else could come in here and take the same mirror and do something totally different with it. I could come back tomorrow, do the same mirror, and have a totally different vision for it. And you know what? That's okay. Go ahead and allow the artist that's within each and every one of us, because we have a major artist, God, who created this whole world. And He is the one that works out of us, and our giftings is how I feel. And so I hope you have a blessed day and everything goes great for you. And we will be doing more live tutorials from Ransomed Relics, Carolyn Muncie, and I hope you join us.